In an attempt to recreate and understand his own life, a man built an elaborate replica of an entire city in his basement, a civilization of actors and set pieces, where he became a kind of god, trying to control its destiny and laws, only to slowly lose control and lose himself in the process.
Caden?
What?
When are we gonna get an audience in here? It's been 17 years.
In a house in Schenectady, New York, a man wakes one morning to the sound of his daughter singing. His wife is already in the kitchen, preparing breakfast and listening to a radio show. He comes downstairs and gets swept up in the morning routine, though he feels completely drained, no energy, no motivation. After grabbing the mail, he flips through the newspaper, barely noticing his daughter's demands for attention. After breakfast, he heads to wash up. Suddenly, the faucet malfunctions and practically explodes. A broken piece flies off and hits him in the face, causing a painful injury. Seeing the blood, his wife insists he go to the hospital. There, doctors stitch up the wound and send him to an ophthalmologist, concerned by the unusual appearance of his eyes. On the way home, the man tells his family he's been scheduled for further tests. He reassures them that he'll be okay and that a plumber will fix the faucet. His daughter becomes curious about the plumber, so he explains, comparing pipes to veins in the body. But when she hears the word blood, she suddenly breaks down in tears. Later, he visits the ophthalmologist again, who finds nothing wrong and refers him to a neurologist. Life goes on. At work in the theater, where he's involved in a production, a minor accident occurs during rehearsal. A set piece lightly injures an actress, but nothing serious. After giving a few directions to an actor, they continue rehearsing. After work, he schedules an appointment with the neurologist. That evening at home, he notices what looks like blood in his stool. Struggling with his health and a strained relationship with his wife, he agrees to attend family therapy. In a session with the therapist, they try to reconnect. During the conversation, his wife admits she has thought about his death as a way to escape their marriage and finally breathe. Her words leave Caden deeply hurt and shaken. A little later, Caden runs into Hazel, a theater employee who flirts with him and tells him she's genuinely impressed by his script. When Caden gets home, he finds a plumber fixing the faucet. Feeling a bit awkward around the repairman, he quietly slips into his wife's studio to use her sink as a bathroom. While there, he notices his urine is brownish but decides to keep it to himself. His wife is completely absorbed in her work. She's been commissioned to finish 2 paintings by tomorrow. Apologizing softly, she tells Caden she won't be able to attend his premiere. Though clearly disappointed, Caden masks his feelings. At the scheduled time, he arrives at the theater. The auditorium is packed, and Hazel is sitting among the audience. After the premiere, while mingling with the cast, Hazel finds him again, expressing amazement at his work, and surprised that his wife isn't there. Feeling a little embarrassed, Caden explains that his wife has an upcoming art exhibition and is overwhelmed with preparations. Hazel tries to break the ice further, offering to smoke some weed together, but Caden declines, admitting it makes him aggressive. Later that evening at home, Caden finds his wife with a close friend. She confesses she's exhausted and regrets not finishing her work or making it to the premiere. Proudly, Caden shares how well his work was received. Critics and audience alike praised it. His wife and her friend are genuinely happy for him, hopeful they'll get a chance to see the show. Meanwhile, Hazel visits a neighborhood where she's been house hunting and finally picks a house she loves, except there's one major issue. It's prone to fires. After carefully inspecting the property, she decides the price and the house itself are perfect, but the fear of dying in a blaze or suffocating from smoke weighs heavily on her mind. Caden's wife, her friend, and his parents eventually do attend the premiere. When the curtain falls, the entire audience rises to give a standing ovation, everyone except his wife and her friend. Outside the theater, while the rest of the family buzzes with excitement and praise, Caden is met only with criticism from those closest to him. In the morning, Caden faces his familiar routine. His daughter is eating breakfast, his wife is on the phone with Maria, and he's dealing with yet another ache. When Adele sees him, she tells him she's decided to go to Berlin with just their daughter, Olive. She believes it will be better for both of them to have some space apart. Caden isn't happy to hear this. The stress from another upheaval causes his skin to break out in painful blemishes. Later, he tries to talk to Adele, hoping to understand what's wrong, how he may have disappointed her, but she can't give him a clear answer, only vague phrases and apologies. Through tears, she asks him to hold off on the conversation until she returns from her trip. Left alone, Caden sinks into sadness. He watches a commercial starring himself as a happy family man. Desperate for a distraction, he starts cleaning the entire house with a toothbrush. At his therapy session, he tries to confront his loneliness. Seeing how troubled he is, the therapist offers to sell him all her books, promising they'll help him find healing. Some time later, Caden visits the dentist, worried about his teeth. The dentist examines him but finds nothing obvious and refers him to a gum specialist for further treatment. That evening, Caden calls Adele, but she can't hear him over a loud party and asks him to call back later. No sooner has he hung up than he suffers a seizure, his whole body convulsing uncontrollably. Somehow, he manages to call an ambulance. Sitting in the hospital, he flips through a magazine and comes across an interview featuring his wife, smiling and radiating happiness. Finally, the doctor calls him in and explains that Caden had an epileptic seizure and may be losing some abilities. Treatment is an option, but there's no guarantee it will help. Back at work, Caden runs into Hazel. She flirts with him again, and he decides to invite her out for coffee. At the cafe, she invites him to her place, convinced he's now single. It's been a year since Adele left, but Caden feels like only a week has passed. Hazel reminds him otherwise. After her words, he agrees, and they head to a house engulfed in flames. Inside the smoke-filled home, she mixes cocktails and keeps flirting. Their evening stretches into night, but at the last moment, Caden pulls away. He can't give her what she wants, his fragile health won't allow it, and he's still married with a daughter. Hazel is deeply hurt by his rejection and his words. She turns away, tears in her eyes, and asks him to leave. After some time, Caden reaches out to Hazel. His health has worsened, but she's still hurt and reluctant to speak with him. Days blend together as he goes through his routine, often listening to old voice messages from Adele, who shares updates about their daughter. Then, one day, he receives a letter announcing that he's been awarded the prestigious 2009 MacArthur Fellowship. During his therapy session, he shares the exciting news with his psychologist. She's genuinely thrilled for him and asks how he plans to use the grant. Caden dreams of creating something grand, beautiful, and intricate, a project that truly reflects who he is. The MacArthur Fellowship is famously called the Genius Grant, and he's determined to live up to that reputation. Wasting no time, he heads to New York to scout locations for his project. He's shown a massive hangar that once housed a Shakespearean theater. After touring the space, Caden knows instantly that this is exactly what he's been looking for. He decides to meet Hazel again to share his vision. He's planning an ambitious, large-scale project that will require a talented team, and he offers Hazel the role of his personal assistant. Though she's still angry and unsure about getting involved, she listens. Over dinner, Caden's behavior seems unusual, but it turns out he's leading her through carefully planned therapeutic exercises. At home, Caden discovers Olive's diary. One page reveals her favorite color, pink. Without hesitation, he buys a large pink box to send to his daughter, a small but meaningful gesture. Later, Caden holds auditions for his new production. Some of the actors are familiar faces he's worked with before. He reads them a powerful passage about death. Claire is captivated by both the concept and Caden's vision. That evening, Hazel and Caden have dinner at a cafe, where Hazel unexpectedly runs into Claire, who's scheduled to meet with Caden. He's sitting at a nearby table. When Hazel joins him, the meeting with the director's ex-girlfriend feels a bit tense. To break the ice, Claire steers the conversation toward her upcoming role, curious about her character. Caden admits he hasn't figured out the details yet but promises they'll develop it together. Then Claire asks about Hazel, still working as a theater cashier, and wonders if she might want to try acting. Caden agrees and vows to talk to Hazel about the opportunity. After dinner, Caden walks Claire home. Along the way, she confides that her mother passed away just yesterday. He offers his condolences and does his best to comfort her. Sometime later, Caden attends the funeral. Their connection deepens, eventually leading to marriage. Caden throws himself into rehearsals for his production, which involves a large cast. He carefully guides and coaches each person. After work, he returns home to find Claire and their daughter, Ariel, waiting for him. Claire is visibly upset. She's still acting in the play but feels frustrated that Caden treats her differently at work than he does at home. One evening, Caden flips through a magazine and spots a photo of Olive, the first child ever to have a full-body tattoo. The shocking news terrifies him, and he becomes determined to find his daughter immediately. Claire tries to calm him, insisting it's not a big deal and that tattoos are common. She turns away and reveals the tattoo covering her entire back, but Caden remains unconvinced and leaves anyway. On the plane, Caden reads a book by his psychologist. Suddenly, he comes across a strange passage where she writes that she'll always be by his side. Glancing toward the next row, he's stunned to see his doctor sitting there. Curious, he asks about the passage, but instead of answering, she attempts to seduce him. He resists. Continuing to read, he's shocked to find the book describing the very moment they're living. And then, just as things reach a climax, the book abruptly ends. Arriving in Berlin, Caden searches for Olive. He visits his wife's art exhibition, hoping to get an address, but she refuses. Frustrated, he heads to a cafe, where Mari finds him. She lives with his wife, her new husband, and Olive. Mari tells him they don't want him around. Furious, Caden insists he has the right to see his daughter, especially since Mari tattooed Olive when she was only 4, leaving scars. Mari reminds him Olive is almost 11 now, but that does little to soothe him. In a fit of rage, he lashes out, throwing punches. Somehow, Mari breaks free and runs. Caden chases after her. He ducks into an alley and spots the pink box he had sent Olive. Clutching it tightly, he breaks down in tears. The strain is too much for his heart. He collapses and is rushed to the hospital, where he's examined and then sent home. Back at the theater, Caden throws himself into the production once more. Every inch of the massive hangar is filled with sets and equipment for the new show. Claire and Ariel appear in one scene, and Claire doesn't hesitate to let him know how unhappy she is. After work, Caden visits the doctor again. He started experiencing a strange tremor in his leg, but even after the examination, the doctor can't give him a definite diagnosis. Sometime later, while walking through the streets of New York, Caden runs into Hazel. She looks great and has a fresh new haircut. She's in town on a short vacation with her husband and kids. While her husband and sons are at a museum, she's decided to go shopping. Caden mentions that he also has a daughter, Ariel, but she and Kier live apart from him. Learning where Hazel and her family are staying, Caden quietly goes there and watches them from a distance. After Hazel, her kids, and husband leave, he steps out onto the shared balcony, ready to jump off the roof. But one of the guys stops him just in time, preventing a fatal mistake. That night, lying in bed, Caden reads his ex-wife's journal. In her entries, Adele admits that Marie is a far better father than Caden. She writes that he's always either drunk or sick, and all she can do is feel sorry for him. Those words hit Caden hard and make him reflect deeply. The next morning, he goes straight to Claire and asks if they can live together again. But he makes a major slip. He mixes up his daughter's names, calling Ariel Olive. Despite this, Claire accepts him, and they rekindle their relationship. One day, Caden learns that his father has passed away. He had cancer, and his final days were extremely difficult. His father had called for him before he died. Caden and his family attend the funeral. He says goodbye to his father and receives condolences from relatives. Meanwhile, his own health continues to decline. During the wake, he slips away to the bathroom and tries to call Hazel, but she's not home. After some time, Caden decides to visit Hazel at her place. She's still living in that burned-out house. He asks her for advice. He's completely lost and doesn't know what to do. He wishes she could look at him the way she used to. He knows he's the one who ruined everything. Hazel feels sorry for him but can't fix things. She has a husband she loves. He needs to accept that and move on with his own life. Feeling crushed, Caden returns home and continues reading his wife's journal. From her entries, it's clear there was something between her and Marie that went beyond friendship. Walking the city streets with a heavy heart, Caden notices an ad for a dance club featuring a girl with the same tattoos as his daughter. He enters a private room with a glass partition and sees an adult naked woman covered in tattoos identical to Olive's. Completely bewildered, he thinks it's his daughter and tries to get her attention, but she doesn't hear him and keeps dancing. His shouting draws security, who forcibly escort him out. Years later, Caden is still deep into his production. During one rehearsal meeting, the actors decide to find out when the audience is actually going to show up. It's been 17 years since rehearsals started, and their frustration is mounting. The director understands their disappointment and realizes he needs an actor to play himself, to capture the full weight of his disappointments and his sense of a pointless existence. To help the actor portray him authentically, Caden sits down and writes detailed notes outlining the key moments of his life. Some time later, Hazel calls him, upset that she's been fired. She broke one of the Christian school cafeteria's rules. She didn't wash her hands. Her husband had convinced her to take the job, even though she doesn't follow the faith herself. Hazel asks if there might be any other work available. After thinking it over, Caden offers her a position as his assistant, and she accepts. When Hazel arrives at the studio, she helps organize auditions for the role of the director himself. One of the men, Sammy, immediately impresses Caden. He flawlessly imitates Caden's speech and mannerisms and even tells Hazel exactly what Caden would be thinking. Impressed, Caden casts Sammy in the role. Sammy quickly becomes Caden's shadow, following him everywhere, observing how he lives, eats, drinks, even how he uses the bathroom and talks. To make sure Sammy can fully embody the role, Caden suggests he move in with Kier and live with her. Though reluctant, she agrees. Standing together on the apartment balcony, overlooking the miniature city built inside the studio, the two men reflect on Adele and their past lives. Later, Caden visits an exhibit featuring his wife's miniature paintings. He studies the collection carefully, stopping at one that portrays Adele herself. Afterwards, he returns to the apartment, which is arranged as if Adele truly lives there with her husband. An unmade bed, a note on the table, and a feeling of her presence everywhere. After spending the night there, Caden returns to Claire. She's upset that he was gone all night and demands to know where he was, but he brushes her off. Rehearsals continue in the studio. Sammy's portrayal of Caden is spot on, but Claire doesn't like it. She demands Sammy be fired. The director can't understand her objection. Sammy is delivering an excellent performance. During a break, Sammy suggests giving Hazel a role, saying she can capture Caden's character even better. After a moment of thought, Caden agrees. The man finds himself once again at Adele's apartment, passing the time there like before. Before leaving, he scribbles a note to his ex-wife, telling her he's been awarded the MacArthur Fellowship and is working on a new production, one that will be honest, raw, and pure. Rehearsals with Sammy and Claire continue. During one of them, Sammy, playing Caden, confesses that at night, he sneaks into Adele's apartment to clean it. Just as he speaks, the actress playing Hazel walks onto the rehearsal set. That's the final straw for Claire. She's had enough. She decides to quit the play, but it doesn't stop there. She walks out on the real Caden too, telling him to pack up and leave their actual apartment. Caden follows after her, desperate, but she's gone. Later, he collects his belongings and says goodbye, but Claire barely acknowledges him. She's completely absorbed in preparing for a new role she was offered outside Caden's theater world. Caden throws himself back into his project. Determined to create something real, something meaningful, he decides to build an entire city from the ground up. Days later, he returns to Adele's apartment, finds a note from her, and looks through Olive's things. Hidden among them, he discovers her journal. Inside, the devastating truth: Olive is dying. The stage set keeps growing, evolving into a fully functioning city, complete with homes, streets, shops, cafes. It starts to feel too real. Soon, Caden begins to hallucinate an adult Olive, frail and dying. He finds himself by her side in the hospital. Machines surrounding her, keeping her alive. She tells him she's dying from an infection caused by tattoos. Furious, Caden blames Adele and Maria. He spent years searching for Olive, only for them to hide her from him. But Olive defends Maria. She throws his past in his face, his so-called mistakes, his homosexuality. She went through the same thing. Maria had been her lover, the first to show her what it meant to know her own body, to understand herself. Her words only fuel Caden's anger. Olive demands he apologize, not just for leaving, but for abandoning the family to chase after a man named Eric. Worn down by the weight of it all, Caden finally apologizes. But Olive rejects his apology, and within moments, she dies. Numb, Caden drifts through an art exhibit. He wanders the city he built for the play, the fake streets, fake homes, fake lives, and eventually ends up right back at Adele's apartment, scrubbing the floors, lost in his endless loop. Sammy gets so deep into playing Caden that he can't even tell where the character ends and his real self begins. He walks the streets giving orders to actors and stagehands, completely lost in the role, while the real Caden quietly trails behind, observing. At some point, Caden realizes something even stranger. Sammy has hired an actor to play Sammy. The whole thing leaves Caden confused and unsettled. Meanwhile, Caden keeps pouring himself into his production. He builds new sets, hires more actors, constantly expanding this bizarre world he's created. He keeps searching for the perfect title for his play, but nothing feels right. One day, he hires a cleaning lady to take care of Adele's apartment. As time passes, Caden notices Sammy flirting with the real Hazel, and it eats at him. He tries to reason with Sammy, saying if he wants to flirt, he should do it with the fake Hazel, not the real one. Right then, Caden's phone rings. It's the police. His mother has been killed during a home invasion. Caden attends the funeral, grateful that the fake Hazel comes to support him during such a painful moment. But deep down, he wishes the real Hazel was there. She's too busy. Caden even called her husband, but he said she wouldn't be home until late. Later, one of the actresses lets it slip. Hazel's having dinner with Sammy. Caden retreats to the bathroom and calls her, but again, she doesn't pick up. After the guests leave, Caden shows the fake Hazel to his parents' bedroom, only to be horrified by what he finds. The room is still covered in blood. No one ever cleaned up after the tragedy. He ends up making a bed for the woman in his room and takes the couch in the living room, but she convinces him to stay with her, to have sex. He doesn't hesitate. Lying beside her, he admits how lonely he feels, how lost he is. He can't even explain what's happening to him anymore. The next morning, on their way to work, the woman teases him, saying they probably shouldn't have drunk so much the night before. At the theater, Sammy continues to fully embody Caden. During rehearsal, the fake Hazel suggests tweaking her character, but the real Hazel shuts it down immediately. Watching the tension build between the two women, Caden sides with the actress and approves the changes. Later, Caden confronts Hazel, asking what she even sees in Sammy. He tells her outright, Sammy's not right for her. Even Tammy agrees, but Hazel brushes him off. She says Sammy's sweet, uncomplicated, and after everything with her husband, she's tired of being held back. Hearing this, Caden half-jokingly suggests firing the actor who plays Derek. Hazel rolls her eyes, dripping with sarcasm, and calls it such a romantic gesture. But if Caden really wants to help, she says, he should fire Tammy, the actress playing her. Hazel insists Tammy looks nothing like her and doesn't understand the role at all. Caden's thrown off by Hazel's reaction. In a moment of honesty, he admits he's been sleeping with the fake Hazel. The confession devastates Hazel. Trying to fix the situation, Caden finally confesses his feelings for her, and to his surprise, she feels the same way. They share a kiss, but the moment shatters when Sammy sees them. Crushed by Hazel's rejection, unable to handle the pain, Sammy climbs to a dangerous height, and throws himself off, ending his life in front of everyone. After the real funeral, Caden organizes a symbolic one for fake Sammy in the theater town. After rehearsal, Hazel suggests he move in with her, into the burning house. He packs his things, and at last, they begin living together, the way it should have been back in their youth. One night, Caden finally shares the title of his play with her. After all this time, he's come up with it, but their happiness is short-lived. Soon after, Hazel dies. Her lungs give out from constant exposure to carbon monoxide. Crushed by grief, Caden sends her voice messages, unable to accept she's really gone. But eventually, he pulls himself together and returns to working on the play, clinging to the hope that, one day, he'll finish it. As rehearsals continue, Caden asks his assistant to find replacements for both Caden and Hazel. An actress, originally cast as the janitor in Adele's apartment, overhears him. She confesses that she desperately wants to audition for the role of Caden, an unconventional choice, but she believes she understands him better than anyone. Caden's already dead, she says softly. He exists somewhere between paralysis and resistance. His whole life revolves around time, but he's lost in it. Until recently, he fought to find meaning, but now he's stuck. Her words strike a nerve. Deeply moved, Caden gives her a chance. She steps in as the new director, confidently taking control of the entire project. Watching her work, Caden decides not to intervene. Instead, he quietly observes, listening to a raw, heartbreaking monologue from one of the actors, and, for the first time in a while, he likes what he sees. Later, Caden confesses to the new director that his ideas have run dry. She offers to take over completely so he can rest and recharge. His assistant agrees, assuring him that a break will do him good. Reluctantly, Caden accepts, though he hates the thought of doing nothing. That's when she suggests he take the role of the janitor. It's small, low pressure, and doesn't demand much energy. After thinking it over, he agrees. Besides, there's a strange comfort in cleaning. Now, Caden is just an actor. He cleans his ex-wife's apartment. One day, one of the actresses hands him an earpiece. As soon as he puts it in, he hears the voice of the new Caden. From now on, she will tell him what to do, and he has to follow every instruction. Over time, the real Caden's health worsens. He barely gets out of bed, takes countless medications, and his heart is constantly being monitored. The voice in his ear reminds him of the important things in his life, and of her own. She recalls being a little girl, going on a picnic with her mother, and promising that one day, she'd return to that place with her own daughter. Her words stir Caden's memories of Olive and Adele. One day, the director's voice instructs him to pick up a note from the nightstand. It reads that Adele passed away the night before from lung cancer. The woman in his ear urges him to remember posing for his wife, how she used to call him handsome, and how much he misses her now. Then she tells him to get up. Looking around, he notices a photo of the director's mother. Later, Caden jolts awake to a loud noise. Stepping into the hallway, he runs into one of the actresses, who tells him the elevator's broken. His legs shaking, he walks down from the 30th floor. Outside, the town is in ruins. The sets have fallen apart, the shops and cafes are shut down, and all the actors are dead. As he walks down the street, the voice in his ear speaks softly but firmly, reminding him that everything he once thought mattered, his dreams, hopes, love, is gone. His life has lost meaning and shape, and he's no different from anyone else, dissolving into the endless stream of loneliness, loss, and oblivion. Spotting a golf cart, he gets in and drives aimlessly. On one street, he sees the silhouette of a woman. He looks around the empty road and asks her where everyone is. Calmly, she says most of them are dead, and the rest have left. Feeling drained and alone, Caden asks if she'll sit with him for a minute. They sit together on an old couch nearby. As they talk, Caden realizes she looks familiar. She explains that she played the mother in Ellen's dream. He mentions she looks older than he remembers, and under pressure from the voice in his ear, quickly apologizes, not wanting to offend her. Reflecting on life, Caden says that the apartments are filled with strangers' dreams and thoughts he'll never know. He admits he never took his daughter on that promised picnic, and he feels he's let her down. The woman comforts him, saying she's proud of him. The voice in his ear suggests he ask if he can lay his head on her shoulder. He does, she agrees, and he quietly tells her he loves her. She replies that she loves him too. Suddenly, Caden feels like he finally knows how to finish his play. A new idea takes shape, but the voice in the earpiece cuts him off with one final stage direction. Die. Do you think Caden has become a prisoner of his diagnoses and fears? Have you ever felt like illness, or even just worrying about it, starts to take over your life? Share your thoughts in the comments down below, give a thumbs up, and subscribe to the channel. See you in the next videos.